Did you know that Band of Brothers toned down the intensity of a heated interaction between Dick Winters and Joseph Liebgott, which in real life led to Winters having Liebgott at gunpoint? In episode 5 of Band of Brothers, titled Crossroads, Dick Winters and his men are in the Netherlands and find themselves in a vulnerable low-lying position where they can be easily outflanked by the Germans. Winters decides that before the Germans realize this, his men will go on the offense and launch a surprise assault against an unknown number of German troops on the other side of a road leading up to a dike. Winters and his group of roughly 35 men quickly discover that they are heavily outnumbered, facing 2 companies of German soldiers totaling around 300 men. However, utilizing the element of surprise and the fact that they obtained the higher ground, the men of Easy Company overwhelm the Germans, who scramble and try to flee to a nearby river. According to Winters, it became a duck shoot straight into the rear of the mass of retreating men. After the battle is over in Band of Brothers, Joseph Liebgott is picking off wounded German soldiers out in a field who are struggling to find cover. Dick Winters approaches him. Joe, knock it off, Winters demands. Liebgott stops firing, and Winters notices an open wound on Liebgott's neck. You're bleeding, says Winters. I want you to take these prisoners back to Battalion CP. Get yourself cleaned up. Winters is referring to the 11 German prisoners who are being guarded not far behind them. Liebgott replies with excitement. Yes, sir. He obviously has no plan of letting the German prisoners live. Winters quickly realizes Liebgott's intentions and comes up with a solution. He tells Liebgott to drop his ammo. Are you kidding me? What are you doing? Responds Liebgott. Give me your weapon, says Winters, who takes Liebgott's M1 Garand rifle from him and removes the end-block clip. He then takes 1 round and inserts it into Liebgott's rifle. You have 1 round, says Winters. You drop a prisoner, the rest will jump you. I want all prisoners back at Battalion CP, alive. Yes, sir, responds Liebgott, his excitement now subdued. This entire interaction between Dick Winters and Joseph Liebgott was toned down significantly for Band of Brothers. In commentary that Dick Winters recorded for select scenes from the series, which was obtained by the Gettysburg Museum of History, Winters explained that while Joseph Liebgott was one of Easy Company's best combat soldiers, he was also one of its, quote, killers. Liebgott was a very good soldier, but he was a killer, said Winters, and as a killer, he had the reputation that he picked up in Normandy of killing prisoners of war for no reason whatsoever. In providing commentary as he watched the prisoner escort scene in the Crossroads episode, Winters said, in this case, I have 11 prisoners of war here, and my mission is to get them back to battalion headquarters and get them back there alive. Winters mentions that Liebgott is wounded, and in the series, we see an earlier wound that is opened up on Liebgott's neck and is bleeding. However, in real life, Liebgott had been slightly wounded in the arm during the battle, but he was okay. It's true that Winters told Liebgott to empty his gun, but this is where the series downplays what actually happened. When Winters ordered Liebgott to empty his rifle and insert 1 round, Liebgott became unhinged. Liebgott, being Liebgott, blew his lid, said Winters, and was highly incensed and very upset, but there wasn't a thing he could do about it because I was staying on top of the dike and I had my gun at my hip, pointed straight at him, because I had no idea how he would react here. He was just that kind of an emotional guy. In his memoir, Winters said that when he brought his M1 to his hip, he threw off the safety as he pointed it at Liebgott. He could have turned on me, but he didn't, said Winters. He emptied his gun, took the 1 round, and as the memory tells me, as I was giving this order to Liebgott to drop all his ammunition and take just 1 round, the German prisoners that were standing nearby, and there were a couple officers in the group, they obviously could speak English. They knew exactly what my orders were. They could read the body language that was going on here. I can remember very well seeing them give a great sigh of relief because they knew they now had a chance to get out of this thing alive and that they wouldn't be gunned down by a killer. It's disappointing that Band of Brothers abandoned historical accuracy in order to tone down the real-life interaction, which effectively demonstrated the intensity of war. Did they change it to make Joseph Liebgott look less emotionally unhinged in the moment? Or did they change it to make Winters look better, opting not to show him point his gun at one of his own men? Or perhaps it was both. It's also possible, and perhaps even more likely, that they thought it was too much friction to show between comrades in a series titled Band of Brothers, which focuses on the bond between a group of men. With regard to Joseph Liebgott, this wasn't the only thing that Band of Brothers got wrong. Liebgott's entire story arc in the series revolves around him being Jewish, yet this is not accurate. Joseph Liebgott was not Jewish. He was a German Roman Catholic who went to Catholic schools and was an altar boy when he was younger. According to Liebgott's son, it even said Roman Catholic on his dog tags. This error in Band of Brothers seems to have stemmed from Private David Kenyon Webster mistakenly describing Liebgott as being Jewish in his book, Parachute Infantry, which Webster wrote shortly after the war. There has been some speculation that Joseph Liebgott's mother, who is pictured here with Joe, was born Jewish before immigrating to America, and that she raised her children Catholic, but the family has stated that both of Liebgott's parents were Catholic. While this error in the series is significant, another error, which is relatively minor, is that at the end of Band of Brothers, we're told that Joseph Liebgott returned to San Francisco and drove a cab after the war. In reality, Liebgott had only driven a taxi for a short time in San Francisco before the war. Then he went to barber college. He was working as a barber when he enlisted in the Army at age 26, and he continued working as a barber after World War II. Such errors in the series are often the result of author Stephen Ambrose not conducting thorough research when writing his book, including in this case, reaching out to Joseph Liebgott's family. I hope this video has helped to shed some light on the true story behind the prisoner escort scene involving Joseph Liebgott and Band of Brothers. If you found this video informative and want to see more research into the historical accuracy of the HBO miniseries, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Anchors away, my friends.